Paris was drowning in blood. Every single day, the guillotine claimed new victims. Nobles, priests, ordinary families. No one was safe. But on one summer afternoon, 16 Catholic nuns walked toward the executioner without fear. They didn't scream. They didn't beg for mercy. Instead, they began to sing. What happened next became one of the most extraordinary moments in Christian history. The year was 1794. France had been consumed by revolution. Churches were closed. Crosses were destroyed. Priests were hunted. Religious communities were dissolved. The revolutionary government believed religion itself was an enemy. Far from the chaos of Paris, the Carmelite convent of Compiègne had lived in peace for decades. 16 sisters devoted their lives entirely to God. They prayed, worked, served quietly. They sought no political power, no wealth, no recognition. Their only desire was to belong completely to Christ. But the revolution spared no one. Government officials ordered every religious community to disband. The sisters were told to abandon their habits, return to ordinary life, forget their vows. Some people encouraged them. Just leave. You'll survive. You can still pray privately. But the sisters believed. Their vocation was not something they could simply remove. Like a piece of clothing, one after another, they renewed their vows, together, knowing exactly what it could cost them. Soon afterward, the authorities arrested them. They were accused of fanaticism, of conspiring against the Republic, of remaining faithful to the Catholic Church. Their trial lasted only a short time. The verdict had already been decided. Death. The sentence, execution by guillotine. On the 17th of July, 1794, the sisters were loaded into carts. The long journey through Paris began. Crowds gathered along the streets. Some mocked them, others remained silent. Many had grown accustomed to executions. Another day, another group condemned. But something was different. Instead of crying, the sisters began praying, softly at first, then louder. They sang the Psalms. They prayed the Rosary. Finally, they began chanting the Veni Creator Spiritus, the ancient hymn invoking the Holy Spirit. Witnesses later described an incredible silence. The angry crowd stopped shouting. The insults disappeared. Only the voices of the nuns echoed through the streets. When they arrived, the guillotine stood waiting. One by one, each sister approached. Before climbing the scaffold, she knelt before the Mother Superior, asked permission to die, received her blessing, then calmly walked forward. No panic, no resistance, no hatred. Only peace, only faith. The youngest sister, barely 20 years old. The oldest, over 70. Yet every one of them showed the same courage. One after another, their voices slowly became fewer. As each martyr died, the hymn continued, growing quieter, until only one voice remained. Finally, the Mother Superior herself. She finished the final verses alone. Then, she too offered her life. The silence that followed was unforgettable. Only 10 days later, Robespierre himself was arrested. The reign of terror collapsed. The executions suddenly stopped. Many Catholics believed the sacrifice of the Carmelites had become an offering before God for peace. More than a century later, the Church carefully investigated their witness, their courage, their unwavering fidelity. In 1906, The 16 Carmelite Martyrs of Compiègne were beatified. Today, their story continues inspiring Christians around the world. Not because they fought with weapons, not because they led armies, but because they showed that true courage is remaining faithful to Christ. Even when the entire world demands surrender, history remembers revolutions, kings, empires. Heaven remembers 16 humble nuns who walked toward death, singing, because they believed that beyond the guillotine, Christ was waiting.